Today I got sent in a story about a girl who claimed that she only had 1 week left to live. Obviously, it's in, quotations because, she didn't actually and she just kind of lied for attention. But, thankfully at the end, there's a bit of like karma. I actually kind of do believe in karma, and this story does, help reinforce my belief a little bit. So anyways, yeah, sit back, relax, and let's get right into the story. So the subscriber sent in this story, and by the way, you can send in stories to my Instagram. It's Connor Pugs. It's in the description. We're going to call him Anthony. That was a name someone left a comment to use. So yeah, we're using that name. And if you want a name to be used, just comment the name and I'll try and use it. Anyways, right, Anthony sent in this story about this time when back in 7th grade, he's older now, but back in 7th grade, this classmate of his came in one day and like they were all sitting around at lunch, and it was just like this person came in a little bit late, and Anthony and his friends, they were just chilling at the lunch table having a pretty good time. It was a pretty normal day, and this is when this girl, and what should we call this girl? Sarah. We're calling her Sarah. I use that name all the time as well. It's basically the equivalent of Ben on my channel, but just a little bit less. Anyways, right, this girl Sarah comes in, and Anthony and Anthony's friends and everyone else in class, they know Sarah pretty well. She's been with them for a while. She wasn't there since like day one, since her family moved in a couple years ago. But obviously, since they've been there for a couple years, Anthony and his friends know Sarah decently well at this point. And Sarah comes in, and she just has this look on her face. And, Anthony's kind of looking at her and going back to talk to his friends and looking at her. And she's just like really quiet. She's sitting there. She's like all like just by herself, like just like, not by herself, but she's like sitting there kind of like really solemn looking kind of really like a little bit distraught. And eventually, right, Anthony kind of like picks up on that something is wrong and is like, hey, Sarah, you good? Like you're looking a little under the weather, like, just looking a little off. And Sarah looks at him and is just like, nope, I'm not good, Anthony. And Anthony is a little, surprised, because normally when you ask someone like, are you good? Even if they're not good, they're normally like, yeah, bro, I'm good. I'm chill. I'm whatever, right? Like, yeah, no, I'm good. Don't worry about me. She was just straight up like, no, I'm not good. And and Anthony does say that, in retrospect, the act that she was putting on was honestly incredible, especially since, as you can tell by the title, well, she lied about whatever I'm about to tell you. But anyways, right, she looks at Anthony and she's like, Anthony, you know why I was late today? And Anthony's like, no, I don't. And she's like, Anthony, I just went to the doctor. And he's like, oh, like, are you good? And she once again says, no, I'm not good. The only thing that was weird is how like calm she was taking this whole thing. Apparently Anthony, in like immediate retrospect, thought she was just in shock, but obviously she just was not. She was acting like her acting was pretty good but not perfect. Anyway, she was like, Anthony, I went to the doctor and they told me that I only have 1 week left to live. And Anthony's just like, you're kidding. And look, here's the thing. They're in 7th grade, and yes, 7th grade is kind of old, but look, dude, I was pretty gullible in 7th grade, and if someone told me something and they didn't say like, haha, psych, or aha, just kidding, I would have believed it. And at this point, right, Anthony was originally the only one having this conversation with this girl, but eventually all of Anthony's friends and, the people at the table kind of like, they overheard that little bit of the conversation, and they were all like, wait, hold up. What did he say? Because they all stopped their conversation. They all turned around, and Sarah was like, yeah, I went to the doctor, and they did some checks. They did some blood work, and they said, yeah, I only have 1 week left to live. And everyone's just like, are you serious? People legitimately did believe Sarah. Also, sorry, real quick, when you got a second, I made a TikTok, go follow it. I'll post some original stories on there, but also just uploads of these stories a little bit before they post on YouTube. So go ahead and follow that. But anyways, back to the story. Anyways, right, the mood of the table obviously starts to get pretty dark. Like, it just gets like, someone, maybe not your best friend, but a friend of yours, an acquaintance of yours, just told you straight up that they have 1 week left to live. So some people start like freaking out, some people start hyperventilating, some people are just completely in shock, like as one would when they're given news like this. And Sarah was just taking it so well. Well, I wonder why she was taking it so well. Yeah, they'll learn later on, right? So she's just at the table like, yeah, guys, I guess like the only thing I can say is I have a couple like last wishes I want for this week. That should have been kind of like red flag, like number one, that like, And especially when you hear what these last wishes are, it's just like people start to like not believe her more and more. But anyways, right, she's like, yeah, I just have a couple more wishes. At this point, right, Anthony was just yeah, anything, like, honestly, anything you want, we'll do it. And everyone at the table's like, yeah, Sarah, like, you're so brave for going through with this. Like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, yeah, no, I have a couple wishes. Like, yeah, I just have some wishes, and it's all I want. It's all I want is just for them to be fulfilled. In retrospect, right, Anthony said over DM, he was like, he has no idea why Sarah even tried this. First of all, it's pretty gross to like take advantage of something that people actually like people actually have to deal with real life consequences of this, right? But also, it's so short term. Like, Sarah just wanted attention and people to do stuff for her for a week. But dude, after a week, right, she has to come into school. It's not like she can just drop out of school. But anyways, right, at the lunch table, she's like, I just want to spend, the week I have left, with my friends and with my family and doing things I love. And the teachers, they won't understand. First of all, red flag. Like, teachers would obviously understand. In fact, you probably wouldn't even have to show up to school. But anyways, right, she was like, and they're going to assign me homework either way. And everyone's like, oh, no, they would never. And they're like, yes, they already have. And everyone's like, oh my God, the teachers are the worst, dude. And Sarah's just like, I need you guys to do my homework for me. And, that raised a red flag for, like, one kid, but he didn't say anything because he didn't want to be the bad guy here. And she's like, yes, I need you guys to do my homework for me. So, yeah, for the rest of the week, and I'm not going to jump to the end of it yet, but for the rest of the week, all the kids did her homework. And throughout the day, she had other requests. For example, during certain days of the week, she asked people to bring in like individual food items that she wanted. I don't know. It's like something specific from the grocery store. So the kids would have to make up an excuse for their parents to go to the grocery store, and they'd have to beg and plead for their parents to get them the specific candy bar or the specific whatever, right? And Sarah was basically just milking this pretty hard. So whenever there was something that she didn't want to do, she just like offloaded it to one of her friends, quote unquote, but I don't know if you can really say your friends if you're doing something like this to them. Anyways, right, the end of the week eventually comes around and everyone's like really sad because, according to Sarah, she was going to pass away in a day. And look, the only reason I'm laughing at this is because of what comes next. Obviously, it's super serious and it's like pretty gross that she, took advantage of this whole situation, but it's just funny when you hear what happens next, right? So on like her final day, obviously, the entire week, everyone has done Sarah's homework. They've gotten her all this stuff that she wanted. Some people even like spent their allowance on like, I don't know, some toys or some items that like Sarah just wanted for her like to play with for her final time or whatever. And just like, this was like the final day and Sarah was like, guys, thank you all just so much. Like, I'm just like so grateful for you guys, and I'm so sorry that this is goodbye. It was like apparently it was like a really intense and emotional moment, and like a few kids were like tearing up or whatever. And yeah, Sarah went home that day, and Anthony and his friends were hanging out over the weekend, and they were just like, dude, I can't believe she's gone, bro. Like, I honestly can't believe that like she's not gonna be with us the next day. And it was just like it was kind of like a tough moment for everyone there because they genuinely believed that their acquaintance / friend was just like not going to be there when they showed up the next day. So anyways, right, the weekend passes and everyone's pretty sad coming into school the next day. They're all just kind of like, wow, just like, I can't believe Sarah's not going to be here with us. So Anthony walks into class and kind of solemn, kind of sad, just because obviously we all know why the guy would be sad. Like, and it was kind of the mood for everyone. And he sits down and he just, gets out his books. He's getting out his pencil, gets out his little pencil sharpener, starts sharpening his pencil when he's just like kind of like not like intentionally looking at the door, but he just happens to be like gazing in the door's direction. And he sees Sarah walk through the door. And the first thing is like shock. He's like, no, like, oh my God, I'm hallucinating. Like, I must miss her so much that I'm seeing her. And then he's like, wait a minute. Wait, no, that's her. And at first he's like, for a split second, he's like really happy because he's been thinking that she's been gone like for the last day or two. And then he's like, wait, no. Hold up. Hold up. Speaking of sharpening pencils, I spoke of that like a minute ago briefly. Yeah, today's secret word is pencil. So yeah, common pencil. If you made it this far, I'm gonna try and heart a bunch of those comments. I can't get to them all, and sometimes I just don't have time. But I'll do my best. I really will. And yeah, today is also your lucky day because if you leave a like on today's video, I'm not even kidding, bro. You'll get nothing in return. Pretty sweet, I know. And once again, if you haven't already, follow the TikTok. There'll be good stuff on there. Anyways, right, so, Anthony's just looking at her like, what? And the whole class is like kind of mumbling a little bit. But since Sarah got in kind of late, the class started right away. So people couldn't like start speaking to her or start talking to her or whatever. And everyone was just like, they were like confused. And honestly, they weren't like angry at this point because they had no idea. And they were just really confused. Like, they were just like in kind of a state of shock for the whole 45 minutes. And so anyways, right, the bell rings and it's lunchtime. So everyone, right, they go to lunch and they're all talking with each other. And Anthony kind of looks at one of his friends. He's like, dude, like, Sarah's back. And the friend's like, dude, I know, I have no idea why. Like, I mean, like, I'm happy, of course, but I'm just so confused. And Anthony's like, okay, let's find her at lunch. Let's sit down. Let's figure out what happened. Like, it's obviously good news because she's here, but I'm just curious why. So anyways, right, they get to lunch and they sit down and Sarah sits down with them and she's like, guys, I got the greatest news. Like, the doctor made a mistake and I'm actually going to be okay. And everyone was kind of like, yay, like, because they were like kind of enthusiastic, but they were also like a little bit suspicious. They were a little bit suspicious because obviously, right, it's just like so convenient that the doctor's just like, oh, you're fine, never mind. And normally they wouldn't make it, something as grave as that and then be like, oh, you're actually 1000% okay. Like, I don't know, that seems like a bit of a stretch. And the kids kind of thought that as well. So, they were like, oh, we're so happy for you. But Anthony was not convinced. He felt like something was a little fishy. He felt like something was up. So Anthony decided him and his friend were going to get to the bottom of it. So at the end of the day, right, Anthony and his friend, started talking on the phone or whatever through messages or something and said, hey, like, Anthony said, hey, like, can you talk to your mom about this and ask her if she's heard anything from Sarah's mom? Because all the moms were pretty close on, like, Facebook or whatever. And, Anthony's friend was like, sure. So Anthony's friend, like, Anthony's sitting there waiting for his friend to get back. And his friend sends him a message saying, dude, we need to talk tomorrow. And that's it. So anyways, right, the next day rolls around. So the next day, right, Anthony gets to school and his friend meets up with him. He's like, hey, I just talked to my mom and she messaged Sarah's mom, and none of that is true. Sarah hasn't even been to the doctor. She was just late that day because her mom had an appointment. And at this point, Anthony is just so mad, and his friend is pretty angry too. And Anthony's like, we should tell everyone. And Anthony's friend is like, yeah, we should tell everyone. So anyways, right, at lunch, Sarah's sitting there, and all the other friends are there. And they decide that, like, okay, it would be a little awkward to confront her publicly, even though it totally deserves it. Like, they just want to tell all the other people first in private so they can, like, parse with their emotions and, like, figure it out and figure out how they want to react and feel. So anyways, right, Sarah leaves, and she gets up to go, and some other kids, start packing up and getting ready to go. And then, Anthony looks at them and says, hey, just stay for a second. So everyone kind of sits at the lunch table, and Sarah leaves, and, some other kids pretty far away leave or whatever. And they sit down, they said, Anthony's like, hey, and then he points to his friend. He's like, all right, you take it. Like, you take the floor. So Anthony's friend explains everything they explained to Anthony. And everyone at the table is just both shocked and mad. And so they're just like, what do we do? And they're all sitting there like, okay, I don't know how much we can do besides exile Sarah as a friend. But maybe if we all tell our parents about what Sarah did, they'll eventually, tell Sarah's mom, and maybe Sarah can be actually punished that way. So they go back home, and they all tell their parents. And the next day rolls around, and Sarah doesn't come into school. So they're all just like, okay, maybe something happened. And, for the next couple days, Sarah, once again doesn't come into school. But after a week, right, Sarah eventually comes into class, but she doesn't go to lunch. She eats lunch somewhere else. And in class, she sits in the very, very front, kind of away from other people. And so at this point, Anthony's a little confused of what actually happened. But then one of Anthony's friends says, hey, dude, I figured out what happened, like my mom told me. And Anthony's like, all right, what happened? So apparently, right, word got back to Sarah's mom, and Sarah's mom was so absolutely angry, as she obviously should be. And word also didn't just get out to Sarah's mom, word got out to the school. And the school was also pretty angry as well. So she was both suspended for 1 entire week, which is pretty crazy, but kind of understandable, from the school. And then her mom banned her from, one, hanging out with friends, and two, going on her phone entirely for a month. And yeah, Anthony was like, dang, that's harsh. But honestly, punishment fits the crime. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some in the sidebar. Click it, or I don't know, I'll cry, dude.